Nature is disappearing, and we need to protect it. We've all heard a version of this plea. With that, close your eyes for a moment and envision the nature we speak of. What are the majestic wild animals that you hope will be around for many generations to come? Now open your eyes. Do you see in your mind's eye bears deep in the woods, red fox kits playing, bald eagles soaring the sky? How many of you pictured an animal like this? Or like this? Why is it that the wildlife in our mind that needs protecting is always far away, huge, or exotic? In truth, important wildlife is all around us, in our backyards, on street corners, along the sides of the road. I used to think that I would have to travel the world to be involved in conservation efforts, until I started to notice the small treasures that needed our help right at home. I have since dedicated myself to what some might call an obsession for bringing attention to the importance of protecting the smallest parts of nature. Through photography, education, and writing, I found that it all starts with a shift in perspective to start noticing the small wonders. Today, I'll be talking mostly about pollinators, as I've found in my work as an educator that they are a great access point. But the art of noticing extends to every creature, big or small. Each is a piece of the puzzle with important roles to fill, and they aren't somewhere far away. They're all part of nature, just like we are. Now, Hannah, why should we care about anything so small? Surely there are bigger things to worry about. Climate change, fossil fuels, plastic pollution. Well, let's rewind to some basics. Pollination is basically fertilization for plants so that they can reproduce. It's the process of transferring pollen from one part of the flower to another. There are different methods for this to happen, but 85% of flowering plants rely on insects. As an incentive to get these insects to assist in pollination, the plants produce a sugary treat known as nectar. The insects will come to the flower to feed off the nectar, and pollen will rub off on their bodies. Then it will rub off on other flowers along their way. Plants and insects have evolved so closely together that some species of plants rely on specific species of insects, and vice versa. It's a delicate dance where each have important timing and roles. Have you ever had a bouquet of flowers make your day? You can thank a bee for that. If you eat almonds, apples, berries, melons, squash, you can thank a bee for every bite. Are you more of a carnivore? You can thank a bee for pollinating the alfalfa that your meat ate before it got to your table. If you're more pragmatic and neither beauty nor food does it for you, maybe money gets your attention. Insect pollinators contribute over $34 billion to the United States economy. Bees are the poster child of pollination, but they're not the only important insect. Butterflies, beetles, ants, moths, wasps, and more contribute too. Beyond just pollination, insects are an essential part of the food web. Think back to those majestic creatures you pictured at the beginning. Lions, bears, bald eagles. Take the beautiful red-tailed hawk that a sharp eye can spot in trees or on telephone poles throughout here in New York. Those hawks eat smaller animals like mice, squirrels, rabbits, and frogs. Those smaller animals eat insects or plants that rely on insects. Protecting the bottom protects the top. Unfortunately, fear, stigma, and their small size can often leave insects as overlooked and underrated. Global insect population is declining at an alarming rate. We're losing up to 2% of our insects every year. 2% might not seem alarming, but that means that since the 1980s, we have lost 45% of our insects, and we're on track to lose another 40% in the coming decades. As a result of these losses, things are already becoming unbalanced. For example, we're relying more and more on domesticated honeybees to fill the role of pollination in agriculture. Commercial beekeepers travel the country following blooms to farms to ensure our crops are pollinated so they can make it to our table. To put that in perspective, the annual almond bloom in California requires nearly 2 million beehives to be brought in. Domesticated honeybees have the benefit of human intervention on their side, and they're still struggling. Other insects aren't as fortunate. If you drive a car, think about it. When was the last time you can remember your windshield was covered in bugs? I'm willing to bet that it wasn't recently. The main causes of these steep declines are habitat loss and an overuse of pesticides. A changing climate doesn't help either, with unusual weather patterns altering insects' life cycle cues. So much doom and gloom. Like a lot in our world today, sometimes it feels like we're too far gone, that there's nothing us common people can do. But that's actually why I love insects so much. Insects are one of the easiest ways for anyone to get involved in conservation. We don't have to wait for people with more power to make decisions. Our lawns have nearly as much acreage as all of the national parks combined. We can plant the plants they need. We can use less chemicals. We can educate and change our cultural mindset from pests to friends. But before we can do that, we need to notice and appreciate them in all of their forms. Now, I know insect enthusiasm can be a tough sell. Bees are my personal favorite gateway bug, but they're not the only important insect. With a 22% population decline since 2000, maybe butterflies are an easier place for us to start. Who doesn't love the gentle flutter of colorful wings bouncing from flower to flower? But what about before they become butterflies? Do you have the same reaction? Each species of butterfly relies on specific species of plants to eat as caterpillars, and that's actually the form they spend most of their life in. If those plants don't exist, neither will the butterflies. We need to notice and appreciate all stages of their lives, even the non-aesthetic ones. I challenge you today to find a patch of wild, whether that's a patch of weeds poking up from an unkempt sidewalk, a quiet spot in a park, a potted plant on your porch, a vacant lot, or even a parking lot median. Where there are plants, there is life worth seeing. When you've found a patch, squat down, pause, be still, and don't swat. You don't have to fear stings. The bees out foraging only care about the flowers, not you. Bees only sting to protect their nests and to save themselves from being squashed. But you are being still, quiet, not a threat. You watch them. Notice how they come and go, which flowers they prefer. Maybe you even check under leaves for butterfly eggs. Watch to find one thing to fascinate you, one species to fall in love with, and then learn about it. Learn what it's called, learn what it eats, learn what it looks like in all of its life forms. Learn what plants it's connected with, then learn about that plant. You can use apps and field guides to get you started. If you have questions, find someone to ask. Nature nerds are eager to answer. You can find contact information for local ecologists through preserve and university websites. There's a wealth of knowledge out there just waiting to be shared. Then, armed with your new knowledge, the next time you're out, Look for those plants, and you'll again find your new special friends. If you have the means, plant something yourself, and they'll come right to you. Where the plants are, they'll be too. Humans were never meant to live separately from nature as some other entity. Regain that connection in any small way, and I can guarantee you will feel something shift. When the big picture feels overwhelmingly awful, zoom into the small pockets. The world seems full of destruction, but this patch in front of me is full of beauty and life. I could leave you today with lists, rules of what to plant, what to eat, what not to spray, what I think you should care about. The truth is that there are so many things to care about, and each of us have different lives and priorities. We can't all protect everything, but we can each care about something. We can notice the beauty that the world still has and feel joy in that connection. We can nurture the small patches of wild all around us and change our mindset from pests to friends. We can change the tides through small actions that remind us it's not too late. It's the many little things that add up to big differences. Thank you.